Mom, are you okay? We have to... Mom?
I'm sorry. It's all my fault.
Pixar's Turning Red was one of those movies that immediately stood out the moment it hit Disney+. It wasn't just another coming-of-age story, it was a heartfelt, funny, and refreshingly honest look at what it means to grow up, especially when your emotions are literally larger than life. Directed by Domee Shi, the film took audiences to early 2000s Toronto, where 13-year-old Meilin discovered that every time she got too excited, angry, or embarrassed, she turned into a giant red panda. It was quirky, emotional, and deeply personal, and because of that, fans have been wondering ever since, will there be a Turning Red 2? So far, Pixar hasn't officially confirmed a sequel, but the conversation around it hasn't exactly gone quiet either. In fact, with the success and glowing reception of the first movie, a follow-up feels more like a when than an if. The film was praised for its animation style, humor, and cultural representation with a remarkable 95% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes. That kind of acclaim, paired with how well audiences connected with May's story, makes it hard to imagine Pixar not wanting to revisit that world. The movie itself follows Meilin, a straight A student who's been doing everything right, until puberty hits like a storm. And if the usual teenage chaos wasn't enough, May learns she's inherited an ancestral curse that turns her into a giant red panda whenever she experiences strong emotions. At first, it's a disaster, but as May learns to embrace her panda side, she also starts embracing herself. It's a touching exploration of identity, independence, and the messy magic of growing up. Because of that ending, where May chooses to live with her red panda instead of sealing it away, a sequel practically writes itself. There's so much potential for where her story could go next. She's only just started figuring out who she is, her relationships with her family are still evolving, and she's got an entire high school journey ahead of her. Director Domee Shi even hinted that the story isn't necessarily finished, saying that the ending was an invitation for more stories. What really makes the idea of Turning Red 2 so exciting is that the first film laid the groundwork for a larger, even funnier, and more emotional world. May's circle of friends, Miriam, Priya, and Abby, became fan favorites thanks to their chaotic energy and unconditional support. Their obsession with the boy band Four Town was one of the most relatable things about the film, and it tied directly into the emotional climax of May's story. The Four Town concert wasn't just a fun pop spectacle, it was where May finally stood up for herself and connected with her mom Ming on a new level. So a sequel could easily explore how May's connection to her panda powers continues to evolve, maybe even blending with her friendships and music in unexpected ways. Another interesting point is how Turning Red fits into Pixar's broader evolution as a studio. After years of focusing on sequels like Toy Story 4 and Finding Dory, Pixar returned to more personal original stories such as Soul, Luca, and Turning Red. But now with the success of Inside Out 2, it's clear Pixar isn't done with sequels, it's just picking the ones that make the most emotional sense. Given that, Turning Red 2 would be a perfect continuation, especially because May's story mirrors so many universal experiences of change, culture, and identity. If Pixar does move forward with a sequel, the biggest question is, when would it actually come out? The first movie took about 5 years to make, beginning production in 2017 before releasing in 2022. Animation, especially at Pixar's level of detail, takes time. So if Turning Red 2 were greenlit soon, fans might not see it until 2026 or 2027. But honestly, a story this heartfelt would be worth the wait. Even though Pixar hasn't confirmed anything yet, both Domee Shi and producer Lindsey Collins have said they're open to the idea. In an interview, they explained that while there haven't been concrete discussions, they'd love to revisit May's world. That openness is a good sign. It shows that the creative team still has a lot of affection for the characters and story. Pixar doesn't usually rush into sequels unless there's a genuine reason to continue, and Turning Red absolutely feels like one of those rare cases. What's also fascinating is how Turning Red connects thematically with Inside Out 2, another Pixar movie that dives into the chaos of adolescence. Both movies explore what happens when growing up becomes overwhelming, Mei through her panda transformation, and Riley through her emotions coming to life. Fans noticed that Inside Out 2 even included a small nod to Turning Red in the form of a four-town poster in Riley's room. It's a subtle but exciting connection that sparks theories about a shared Pixar universe. Some have even pointed out that Pixar missed a golden opportunity by not making Four Town Riley's favorite band. It would have been a fun crossover and made perfect sense. After all, both characters are teenagers navigating emotional changes while bonding over music and friendship. Even though Pixar didn't take that route, the similarities between the two stories make them feel spiritually connected. It's easy to imagine a future where Mei and Riley exist in the same universe, maybe even attending the same concert someday. As far as the story for Turning Red 2 goes, there are endless directions Pixar could take. Mei could be entering high school, where she faces new pressures, fitting in, relationships, and the growing expectations of adulthood. Her panda might even evolve as she does, representing new emotional struggles or powers. There's also potential for exploring more of her family's history and how the women in her family continue to live with their pandas in different ways. With how much the first movie emphasized family bonds and generational healing, a sequel could expand that even further. And of course, fans would love to see more of Four Town. The fictional boy band voiced by real artists like Phineas and Jordan Fisher became a phenomenon after the movie's release. Their songs were catchy, heartfelt, and surprisingly good, so it's no wonder fans have been streaming their tracks ever since. In a sequel, Pixar could easily make Four Town part of Mei's next big emotional journey. Maybe they inspire her again, or she even gets to meet them for real this time. From a production standpoint, a sequel also makes sense for Disney and Pixar. Turning Red may have skipped a theatrical release due to the pandemic, but it still pulled in massive streaming numbers and became one of Disney Plus's most talked about releases. The demand for more is clearly there. Now that Pixar is returning to full theatrical runs, a Turning Red 2 could have its chance to shine on the big screen, something the first movie never got to experience. Another element that makes Turning Red 2 feel inevitable is how Pixar has been leaning more into diverse storytelling. Turning Red wasn't just about adolescence, it was about cultural identity, mother-daughter relationships, and what it means to grow up between two worlds. It resonated with a wide audience, particularly because of how authentic it felt. Pixar has every reason to continue developing stories that celebrate different voices and perspectives, and Turning Red is the perfect foundation for that. So what might fans expect if Pixar finally announces the sequel? Probably more of everything that made the first one so special. Colorful animation, heartfelt humor, emotional depth, and maybe even a bigger look at Mei City or her community. With Inside Out 2 proving that Pixar can revisit emotional storytelling with great success, the timing couldn't be better for Meilin to make her comeback. In the end, Turning Red 2 feels less like a distant possibility and more like an eventual reality. Pixar knows how much fans love Mei and her panda alter ego, and there's still plenty of story left to tell. Whether it's exploring her teenage years, strengthening her friendships, or even giving us a full Four Town concert moment, the Red Panda's journey is far from over. Because if there's one thing Turning Red taught us, it's that growing up never really stops. It just gets a little messier, a little louder, and a whole lot more fun. And that's exactly why Turning Red 2 feels like it's not a matter of if, but when. And that's that for today's video. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one.